In this video, I would like to briefly discuss the topic of inflation, as well as concern myself with the woes that come with it, as well as those that surround it. So, as we sit here and we watch the prices of everything rise, quite literally, as I look upon at our current sitting president and our national media apparatus and many other quote unquote experts upon these particular issues, you kind of get sort of a unifying message, although it deviates at certain points in time. But essentially, what we've been getting from the president, we'll start with him and his administration, is essentially the following. Yes, prices are up. Yes, prices for food and fuel is up. No, we can't fix it in the short term. Yes, you're going to have to deal with it. But look, the unemployment numbers are low. There aren't that many jobs available. What a peculiar way to evaluate an economy. One that is in such danger as the one that we're living in right now. You dictate how good that economy is doing based upon an unemployment number, which is completely and totally unreliable if you know how that number is particularly calculated. Not only that, but the other different intricacies that go into that as it is makes that such a bizarre way to decide whether or not an economy is doing good or isn't. Yet, that is how the sitting president and his administration has decided to attack this issue. What they've also done is speak about the fact that they have no way to curb, to stop, to delay this current rise in prices. No, there is in fact nothing that they can or will do. What they have done is they have relinquished all responsibility to the Federal Reserve. Yes, it is the job of the Federal Reserve to somehow put this inflation to an end. Now, there is truth to that. In fact, there's a lot of truth to that. The Federal Reserve is supposed to prevent things like this from happening. However, to say that that is their job, therefore there's nothing you can do, is completely false and just quite stupid, to be quite honest with you. And you should feel insulted if you hear them say some jumbo like that, because it's just not correct. And so what the Federal Reserve has decided to do is raise interest rates. And the language in which they're using is they want to get wages down. So they want to cut the amount of money that the American worker is making. And they want to raise interest rates. They want to make it more difficult for people to move into an apartment. They want to make it difficult for renters to get by. And of course, if you raise interest rates, it's going to hurt every single borrower across the country that isn't Jeff Bezos or anybody else. So the people that are already in very bad and damaging situations, it's going to get even worse for them. But this is a decision that our government has decided to make. And if we look at our national media apparatus, they're giving us pretty much the same story, but they're using nice words like, oh, there's an upwards of demand and there's not enough supply. And they're basically giving you the, quote unquote, textbook version of this issue, trying to make it sound all nice and flowery with their wording, when in fact, they're basically doing what they always do, which is push out propaganda, as they don't really get into the meat and potatoes, I should say, of what's really driving this. Now, as it pretty much pertains to everything else in this country, the ability to raise prices is held in the hands of a very few selection of people, especially in comparison to the large majority of people that don't have that ability. And what's happening currently is that those individuals are raising prices, and these people are seeing record breaking profits. Yes, they are. You may see terms like increased labor cost, increase or whatever. The fact of the matter is that people are raising prices and they're playing the blame game. They're blaming Vladimir Putin. That's Joe Biden's new shtick. Let's blame Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine for the fact that gasoline is so high, or food. There's a food shortage, a baby formula shortage. Let's throw it all on Putin. Are these contributing factors? Sure, but does it account for the entire problem? Of course not. I've also been seeing the finger being pointed at China, the old reliable enemy, the People's Republic of China. Let's blame China in the way they handle COVID as to why the supply chain, and this is why the loaf of bread is an extra $2. It's completely ridiculous. And you're not getting an honest take on how any of this stuff is unfolding. And that's what I wanted to speak about in this video. And we should all be careful going forward. I won't get into too many personal specifics, but I can attest to the fact that I've been feeling it myself as it pertains to these higher prices. I mean, it's maddening what we've been experiencing. And what the Joe Biden and the Democrats have decided to do is basically hang their coat and do what the Democratic Party typically does, which is be lame, sorry, and completely inadequate. They've decided to run the route of Donald Trump is bad with their January the 6th bakery that they've been having going on, still talking about this as if it's somehow relevant in this point in time when so many people across the country are struggling while they do next to nothing to help them out, as well as, of course, as I alluded to earlier, play the blame game, point the finger, see who else they can get the American people to focus on instead of their insufficiencies. But we'll see how this boils out, of course, in the upcoming midterm elections. It spells political disaster, and it's another hit at the myth that is the American democracy. We're dealing with a system that has run its course, that continues to thrust us into so much difficulty, and what our elected leaders has decided to do, instead of challenging the system, instead of figuring out a new way, a different way, a better way, they seem to be content with throwing Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid on the current system, which is very, very badly beaten. God only knows where that will take us.